how can this organization get him on the right track to actually shoot the ball and improve his free throws in the most intense pressure moments in the playoffs?
Well, I think that's a collective challenge. I think Doc did a good job addressing that yesterday. He spoke with Ben for a long time, and they discussed what the next steps are going to be. And the reality is everyone has to look at themselves and figure out how to improve, and that includes all of us. So, each player has areas they need to work on, and we're going to work on them.
One other question. Would you like, or is part of the plan for Ben to spend more time around here during the off season working on those things? I know he goes to California a lot.
For us, the focus is players and everyone putting in the work needed to make ourselves a championship team next year. I'm not focused personally on where it is. I'll leave that to Doc and Ben, but I think the important thing is that you get the work in and not where it is.
Is there a commitment to him being on this roster next season?
We're committed to this group. Look, this was a really good group that played at a very high level. I obviously, part of my job is to self-reflect, read what others are reading because you can learn from that. And a lot of what I'm reading, I frankly don't understand. People saying the Sixers are in a bad situation. I don't choose to come here. Doc doesn't choose to come here if this is a bad situation. I mean, really 25 or 26 teams in this league would love to be in our situation with an MVP caliber top player, an all-star, a near all-star, great young players who are signed for the long term, good veterans. So we've got a good foundation. We just have to do better. I have to do better. Everyone has to do better.
Can you tell us that Ben Simmons will be a 76er next season?
I love your questions, Howard. I would say
I love them too, Daryl.
We have a very strong group we believe in. There's none of us can predict the future of what's going to happen in any place. We love what Ben brings. We love what Joel brings. We love what Tobias brings. In terms of what's next, we're going to do what's best for the 76ers to give us the best chance to win the championship with every single player on the roster.
So what you're saying is if the possibility is there to improve the team, and that means moving Ben Simmons, that you would do it.
Not addressing Ben Simmons, but any move that will help our team win the championship or improve our odds, we will look at and do if it makes sense to do that.
So the only thing I'm trying to ask is, will you look at the value of Ben Simmons as well as any other player on this basketball team to improve the 76ers?
So you just defined the job of a general manager, which is to assess everything, assess every player on the roster, figure out what is best to do with them to help us win the championship. So yes, I'm going to operate as the general manager of the 76ers. And I appreciate you defining my job description.
I know Doc said, I think after game 6, that he would like to have Tyrese on the floor sometimes with Ben. Is it maybe time to kind of realize that, or at least consider that maybe he's not a point guard, you kind of move him to the power forward position, full time?
I think that's frankly a better question for Doc, and actually his coaching staff. They're doing quite a few meetings this week, and I expect they'll have another offsite or continuous meetings after that. I leave to Doc and his staff, and I think you heard Doc. I agree with him how tremendous the staff around him was, to give us in the front office hey, here are the things we're seeing, and then it's our job to find the players. Frankly, a lot of Doc wanting to play Maxey, I think, was really more Maxey related, that we were seeing in practice what he was able to do. And I think the best coaches like Doc, they don't sort of pre-script we have to play X way. And in fact, I thought Doc just did a tremendous job with the roster. And, you know, it's a roster that a lot of teams, as we play in Houston, are playing a certain style. But our best players play a different style, and to take that mix, especially with where the rules are at in terms of like how much perimeter contact is allowed versus paint contact, to take that mix of players and turn it into the #1 team in the East. And obviously, just, you know, we didn't get as far as we needed to, but I thought the job that Doc and his staff did was tremendous. And long story short, with players like Maxey, like some of it is like, you can't always say we need X and let's go get X. If you do that, it creates challenges in terms of building the team. And so I really appreciate the coaching staff's ability to say, okay, we have these set of players, we're going to come up with the best way to use them. And they did that very well all season.
In the past, there has been some resistance from Ben on working with shooting coaches or trainers that the Sixers wanted, and also in changes to his form. Has there been any buy-in from him on if Doc has a preference of who he works out with, that he will, and if there's changes to the mechanics that he will?
Yeah, with respect to the fact I wasn't in the meeting, but my understanding is that, you know, Ben is just like all our players. They're all in on the organization. The relationship Doc has with the players is extremely strong, and his staff as well. And I believe, and we would expect for the players to be willing to do whatever is necessary.
Ben said a couple of times during the playoffs, his free throw struggles were more mental than with his form. How do the Sixers help him or any player deal with mental issues during the season? And how can they help him in the off season when he's not necessarily around the gym as much?
Yeah, for all our players, we have tons of resources. I think that's one thing I've been, you know, besides Josh Harris and giving us every resource to help, you know, in terms of like acquire the players on the court. The resources we have available to players is really unparalleled in my career. That's available for the players. Now, can we do better? Yes. I mean, everything needs to be assessed, and you know, each player is going to have a different plan and a different approach. But the resources for sure are there, and will continue to be there.
And a quick follow, I mean, do you want him to play in the Olympics? Have you asked him not to play in the Olympics?
So with the Olympics, I've always personally made that. I didn't have a conversation. I've always personally made that a player decision. I think I don't know what his decision will be. I think he may have talked about it with Doc. I'm focused on the 76ers, not